All right. Hey guys, we are here with Councilman Todd Carnes. Todd, thanks for joining us today. I know you're probably relieved and taking a little bit of a breather now that the election's over.
Still celebrating.
Yeah.
Still celebrating.
Some people are celebrating and some people are still harping on stuff. Yes. But as far as the local level, yes, we're really happy to have you back. And we're also happy to have Ron Williams back as well as Steve Baker, the new town councilman, to join you guys. So we're really excited to have them there. A couple of things before we get started. First, the chamber is doing a social shopping spree, tongue twister, on Saturday, November 26th in honor of Shop Small Saturday. And what that will be is we'll be featuring businesses from the Greater Lexington Chamber, and we'll be featuring discounts, some great gift ideas, and some other things that you can take advantage of on Small Business Saturday to support those businesses, because we like to keep that money here so that our businesses can continue to grow. So if you want to either be a part of that as a business, you can visit www.lexingtonsc.org. Or if you'd like to follow that and take advantage of some of the deals and discounts, just follow Lex Chamber, L-E-X Chamber on Twitter. And Saturday the 26th, we'll be sharing all of those so that you can go out shopping either with your family that day or the following week and take advantage of those discounts. All right, so Todd, now that you are elected, how was your campaign? How did it go?
Campaigning at a local level it's just very hard, because it's hard to get down to the level of substance. It's a lot of surface things, but you don't have debates. You can't talk policy issues. You can't really. It's hard to get your message out because the noise at the federal level and at the state level is so loud and so ubiquitous. At the local level, you just don't get much space. So that part's actually frustrating. I was watching Shark Tank and I was thinking,
Shark Tank, I love that show.
I was thinking, I have to figure out a way. I have to figure out a platform that we could build online so that there could be some substance to local elections. Maybe have people that are running for office buy into it so that they could try to get their message out. There has to be a way to make it more substantive. But outside of that, that's a little frustrating for me because I'm an idealist. But outside of that, it's just, as a friend of mine said, you campaign all the time. And when you serve people, you campaign. When you make decisions with integrity, you campaign. When you're a good team player, you campaign. And you hope that pays off at the end. And probably an overall scope of things, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Feel like this time it did, and so that's super.
Yeah.
So it's only been 8 days, and so I think I'm gonna celebrate for at least 30. Because campaigning is hard because you run a hard campaign. You try to convince people who you are, what you want to do, your name, your integrity, your vision. And you're trying to convince them of that in 45 seconds, and then on Tuesday you go to the polls and stand there and let 12,000 people pass judgment on you. And so it's the best system there is, but it's a difficult task if you've never done it.
Right. Now, how long have you been serving on town council now?
3 years. I ran in a special election, and I got elected for a shorter term, a 3-year term. So this will be my first full term.
Okay. And since serving, how have you seen Lexington change, or did your first year kind of open your eyes to some of the things that either, we did well or some of the things that we needed to improve on?
I think year one there's a steep learning curve there. I've led organizations and I've done a lot of things, but municipal government in general, coming from the private sector, it's a steep learning curve to figure out all the moving parts. And just how things operate. So I probably spent a year trying to figure out the system. And since then, our town runs great. Our town is solid. We don't have a lot of issues other people have.
Right.
And it's not because we have great civil government. We have great citizens, and great citizens generally put together great civil governments. And so we have issues, we have problems, but they're growth problems. They're the good kind of problems.
Yeah.
And so we're actively trying to solve those, but I don't think there were no surprises.
Okay.
I think I was pretty pleasantly surprised at how many plates we have in the air at any given time, and how we do those you know, we don't make A pluses, but we're at least B pluses.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, a lot of that has to do with the vision plan. I know just having one is so important so that we can have goals that we want to reach for our town, and also, you know, the people who you're talking to, your constituents, can know where you and some of the other council members are trying to lead the community, especially with the rate at which we're growing.
Right.
So, you know, we've seen some of the completion of that vision plan. Talk about a little bit about 2017, and I know there, you know, are a lot of aspects of the vision plan, but what's kind of like the next priority level on the list for the vision plan?
Yeah, I would say next priority on the list is totally the idea of greater efficiency in our traffic systems.
Mm-hmm.
Just today, we have 7 new signals going online with adaptive signalization, which will bring us to a total of 12. And eventually we'll have 35, I think is the number, 39, somewhere in the 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like a third of the way there. And once we get that fully integrated by the end of 2017, all our signals will be online and they will all be adjusting themselves in real time. Once that happens, we're going to see 20 to 30% greater efficiencies in our traffic movement, which everybody's going to celebrate.
Right.
And so that's, you know, that's not cool and you know, has a lot of pizzazz on it. It's just very functional and infrastructure, but it's going to happen. And when it happens, to my understanding, I think we'll be the only municipality in all of South Carolina to have adaptive signalization throughout our entire municipality. And so that'll be something to celebrate, and we desperately need it.
Right.
And so that's very pragmatic. That's coming along. And then with the things that have happened downtown, the opening of the amphitheater, some events, some things going on there, the revitalization of downtown is well underway. We got Aladia's coming in. We had a great firm, Jude Peck and his firm, I3, and a few others who took on the Shirey's building, put $1 million of personal capital investment in that building and the upfit, and it's functioning already. And so them making that kind of investment, something a lot of people don't know is there are 3 more pads in that arena for private investment. And so you're going to see a building come up behind Shirey's. You'll eventually see one come up on Main Street, and all those will be you know, from the private sector coming in to revitalize downtown.
And just to give a plug for, he mentioned the Icehouse Amphitheater. I believe they're in the final stages of, you know, rebuilding their website. But if you want to go ahead and keep in touch with them, you can go to Facebook and just look up the Icehouse Amphitheater, and it should come up on your Facebook search results. And that's going to be one place where you can learn about all the events that are going to be happening. I know, you know, for the rest of the year, since it's winter time, I think they're going to scale back on those. But come spring, I believe March, from what I hear, is when we're going to get back into those events. Now, two things having to do with traffic. You know, does those signals do they go all the way up to I-26 where Lexington Medical Center is?
They go up to Corley Mill Road.
Okay.
378 Corley Mill Road, because that's the edge of our boundaries.
Gotcha.
But I think eventually that these systems will continue to add on, because they work best when they're integrated. So when you get there and you have all these issues on 378, we're going to take them another light. Will the county get involved? Will the state get involved? I think you'll see some of that happen.
Right. Let's see. Talk a little bit about the segue into going one way for Church Street and Lake Drive.
The one-way pair.
Yeah. Because if y'all don't know about it, on the Town of Lexington's Facebook page, they have a whole video explaining this. So if you get lost, like I do sometimes with just reading articles about one-way streets, that's a great illustration of how you can see how it will change. But just, I guess, talk a little bit about that.
I think, yeah, and to that point, I think we made a 2-minute video, maybe had 35,000 views. It was the best public information thing we ever did. But a one-way pair is a term most people haven't heard, they don't understand. But basically what we're doing is taking 2 roads that cross Main Street, Highway 6 and Church Street, and making those one-way just for a short distance while they cross over Main Street. And so it has nothing to do with those roadways. For the most part, it has to do with Main Street. But if you can make those 2 roads one-way pairs, both one-way as they cross Main Street, then you can move traffic across Main Street significantly faster, and that frees up a lot of green light time on Main Street. Because if you know anything about traffic on Main Street, you know that it all bottlenecks in the 100 block right in the middle of downtown, and those lights hold up traffic. And so hopefully you will see 50 to 60% more green light time, and that green light time will significantly move traffic through there a lot faster. And then the one-way pair coming from Highway 6, which was South Lake at that point, or North Lake, as you see North Lake moving towards Lexington Elementary School and then towards Lexington Middle, that part of the project is going to be folded into what we want to do in front of the middle school.
Yeah.
So there's almost this comprehensive plan we're putting together that goes all the way from Main Street, in front of Lexington Middle, in front of Food Line and those areas, and ties in right there where North Lake turns left going towards Irmo, because that entire congested area has to be looked at holistically. And there is a holistic solution, but what people need to understand is holistic solutions like that, they take 6 months to study, they take 6 months to draw up the engineering plans, 3 months to bid it out, and 4 years to construct. And so there's no quick fix.
Right.
But better to start now, than wait another year. It's just the pace of construction projects.
Right. So understand that, those things are studied and researched and thought a lot about before they are actually released to the residents, because I know that came as a shock to some people, but I know that you guys have done your due diligence to know exactly how that will help.
Yeah, and can I dispel some myths? I
Sure.
love it when the press says the town council has decided to put a one-way pair, the town council has decided on a roundabout. Town council doesn't decide any of that.
Right.
We are not traffic engineers. I'm a civil engineer, but I did site work. None of us are traffic engineers. We don't make any of those decisions. We hire great professional traffic engineering firms, usually national firms that have local offices, and they do incredible studies, traffic counts, and they use software packages, and they come to us and say, here is your best solution. And although we have the right to trump what they would say, we would never do that. That would be like telling your oncologist you know better than him. We have professional engineers who design all these systems for us.
Absolutely. And no pun intended with Trump. Okay. Let's see. Since we were talking about downtown and kind of how those streets will affect Main Street in a positive way, obviously the Icehouse is a huge investment in the downtown area, and I know a ton of people, if you went out to the Root Doctors concert, it was a little over like 3 weeks ago. I know I did. It was a great night. They had stuff for the entire family, and the band was great, which is perfect too, and the food too. Now that that's done, I know that people see that and see, oh, this is like for me, that's like a staple that brings other things.
Right.
Talk about maybe some of the attractions or the vision that you have for the downtown area, and maybe how we get there as far as getting some of those attractions there that you see, or just anything else. The things you see, how do you think we can get them there within the next year, 2, 3?
It's all about building culture. People look at downtown one way or the other, and so you have to get people to view downtown as this place that is fun, that's relaxing, that's community oriented, where you can walk around, where you can have local shops, local restaurants. It's all about the perception of downtown, and so there's been a lot of time and energy and effort in changing that perception, because for years the perception of downtown was a place you don't want to go because you get stuck in traffic. So to flip that narrative and to say, no, this is a culture of great food and great family events and things of that nature, once that begins to trickle down into our community and even surrounding communities, you'll have more and more people coming down and building the right environment. And we have great shops downtown. We have mostly small local businesses. I was glad to see that when we brought in a really nice restaurant, it's a local restaurant, Aladia's, from right here in the Midlands. And I think you'll see a lot more of that, and people will designate that as more of a meeting place. When I went to the Root Doctors family event concert, I was pretty shocked because I wasn't on town council when the vision plan was done. I was actually a pastor, and I remember they brought me into like a listening session. That was my only input, but it was a major gamble. Let's be honest. It was a major gamble to make that kind of public investment in downtown and say we're going to catalyze it, and then private money's going to follow, and then the private market sector is going to come in and rebuild it. And so I applaud the people that had the courage to do that, because it takes a lot of courage to do that as a public official.
Right.
But when I was there at the Root Doctors concert, there's 1,300 people running around, and I was just saying to myself, like, this is just a normal Thursday night. There's nothing unique. Everybody's got to go to work tomorrow. This is not, something significant. It's just a random Thursday night. We had a concert, and 1,300 people came out, and all kinds of food vendors, and everybody was just having a good time. And I was thinking, you don't have to add a lot to that. If you can pull that off time after time, because there's 50,000 people within driving distance of here who would, who'd love to take their family out. Some people had small kids. Some people were dancing. Some people were trying to dance and couldn't. It was just all ages and stages. It was. That's when I knew that, hey, this thing was really a good investment, and it's going to pay off. Again, not over the next 3 months, but over the next 10 years. It's really going to pay off for our town.
Is there anything that you would like to see come to the town of Lexington in the downtown area, or something that, now that we've got that Icehouse Amphitheater done, is there one thing in particular that someone may be looking at to bring next? Like, is there a next step, I guess?
Nothing that I'm aware of, and nothing that's public. And so I think at this point, what I would like to see, I would just like to see market forces take over, and I would like to see private investment come and build what's going to be successful there. I'm not sure what's going to be successful there. I think there's lots of opportunity, but people that catalyze and build things for a living, I know they're looking at us and they're going, do I want to put a boutique grocery store in there? Do I put another restaurant, or what would thrive in there? And I think we will bow to what the private sector brings us within reason, and see that area revitalized. I really feel like the hard work of pushing the ball up to the top of the hill is almost done. I feel like now you kind of let it coast down, and you just have to put some boundaries around it so it doesn't get crazy. But outside of some kind of crazy recession, it's going to take off.
Right.
And there's a lot of capital opportunities in there.
Right. And a lot of that does have to do with development. I don't know if you saw the recent article. I think it was that the state posted, I believe, something along the lines of an estimated 21,000 new residents to Lexington in the next 3 years, I believe.
Right. To the county, yes.
So development is a big part of that, being able to get ready for all those new residents. Is there a role that both the town and the county economic development professionals have, and if so, do they work together in some capacity on that? Yeah,
we have this unique scenario right now, which will end at the end of this year, where our economic developmental director for this town is actually on county council. So collaboration has kind of been a given, because he does it in both realms. Once that changes and Johnny Jeffcoat rose off of council, then we'll have to work a little harder. But our relationship with the county has always been solid. We have different responsibilities. We have different realms of authority, but our relationship has always been solid, because we don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face. We have to work together to make this thing viable, make it work. And in my time there, I've never bumped up against any type of backlash or pushback in that. It's all between us and the county and the school board. Those are three big partners in any type of local scenario. It's always been really good, and we've had to do some things together. Even the amphitheater development and around downtown revitalization, we all had to work together on that to create some I think called a TIF district, which is some unique taxation, and everybody was willing to do it.
Yeah. Going to more of the business side, I know that annexation has been a big topic of conversation. What do you see as kind of like the natural boundaries for the town of Lexington? or
Yeah.
if there are, just I guess to explain them for people who may not know.
Yeah, the whole idea of annexation, a lot of people don't understand it, but the town, we do not forcibly annex anyone to start off with. We're not in that business, but we do have some generalized boundaries of looking at the center of town and saying we probably see ourselves owning this type of radius around town eventually one day. And not out of some type of self-serving greed or things of that nature. It's because within a municipality, you get things that you could never provide within a county. And so within a municipality, you have significantly more stringent zoning ordinances, side setbacks, the distance between commercial and residential properties. You can put things in play there that actually protect businesses and protect residences from uncomfortable encroachment by others. And so the town can do that. A county could never do that because the county's so broad-based.
Right.
They cannot, they can't have those type of stringent scenarios. And so we see ourselves, moving slowly out 378, slowly out Highway 1. We see ourselves, we're in downtown. We've gone 378 as far as Corley Mill and some of the new subdivisions out there. I think we recently annexed one of our schools, but all those things we do in conjunction with the county, and everybody's on board with it. So it seems to work well. And as far as the ultimate limits of that, we have generalized conceptions of what it's going to look like, but there are limits. There are limits to the police force we can provide and things of that nature. But what we find is a lot of big businesses that come into town, they prefer to be within the town because they want the additional police protection. They want the town services that are provided, and I think there's a win-win there for everybody.
Well, Todd, that's kind of all the questions that I have. Is there anything that I didn't cover that you'd like to tell the people at home or the people just watching in general?
Yeah, no, I would just say thanks a ton for entrusting me with 4 more years. Politics, it's a tough business. It's one where the truth is hard to find in a lot of scenarios, and so if you really want to know the truth about issues in politics, quite frankly, you have to dig a little bit. That goes from the town level to the federal level, and so that can be frustrating, but I do appreciate everybody that gave me support and entrusted me with this for another 4 years. And I would just say to everyone, hey, when you hear about an issue, you have a question, you have an idea, you have a concern, pick up the phone and call me. Send me a Facebook message on my Facebook page. They track it. They tell you how responsive you are. I'm pretty responsive. I'll be glad to get that information to you. And because it takes the ingenuity, the catalytic ability, the insight of everybody in the town to make the town successful. You can't put 7 people in a room and they got all the answers and they'll figure it out. It's not the way it works. And so we want this thing to be collaborative. I was riding down a road near my home recently, and they paved it, I swear, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it's been horrible for years, and they finally paved it, and it's coming apart. I mean, 4 or 5 weeks after it's coming apart. I'm a civil engineer. I know a little bit about that. Like, they just didn't do their work. But it's not in the town, so what I did, I picked up the phone, I called a guy on county council, and I said, listen, if you guys paid an outside contractor, he needs to come back and probably redo this. And then he called me back and said, it's a state road. But I called, our state delegation, and they're on it. And that's just because, not many people are going to make that call, but I'm going to make that call because that was my tax money there, and somebody did a poor job, and I need to do it right. Because they're not going to do it again for another 20 years.
Absolutely.
Let's get it right. And so we invite that as a town. We want that kind of collaboration with everybody.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for us. If you have questions later, feel free to just post them in the comments below this video, and we'll get them to Todd, or if you can just get them directly to him like he said, or feel free to call the chamber if you just want to call better, 359-6113. Also, this whole entire video will be on lexingtonsc.org tomorrow, so feel free to look there for that. And we'll be having, go ahead.
You go ahead. I got one
Okay.
more comment.
We'll be having Ron Williams and Steve Baker within the next couple weeks. So, following Thanksgiving, just be on the lookout for those interviews too, so we can talk to them a little bit more. Todd?
And just in closing, generally we talk about the town. We've talked a lot about downtown, and because there's been a lot of activity there. But I want to emphasize to everybody, we're acutely aware of the fact that the town, goes all the way from Corley Mill, and it goes downtown, and it goes west out towards the high school, and it's a lot bigger than downtown. So there's been a lot of emphasis on downtown, but we are looking at the town as a whole and want to be good stewards of that. And so as downtown revitalizes itself, we will be finding ways to bring quality of life and bring efficiencies and bring the good things that we should to everybody throughout the town. And I think that gets lost a lot because there's such an emphasis on downtown, but that's just for a season. We're going to look at the town as a whole.
Absolutely. Again, we'll be having Steve Baker and Ron Williams come in the next couple weeks, so be on the lookout for those. And don't forget about Small Business Saturday and our Lexington Social Shopping Spree. That'll be happening on Twitter, so follow @LexChamber on Twitter on Saturday, November 26th to get those specials and those good gift ideas from some of our local businesses right here in Lexington. Todd, thanks again for coming.
Thanks, Connor.
And just be on the lookout for those next interviews. Bye.